Hey, my name is Noah Schnapp, and I wanted to share a few things that I've been working on with ChatGPT. I know everybody uses it for different things, and I'm sure that everybody's kind of overloaded with AI at the moment. But I wanted just to document some of the stuff that I've been playing around with and just some feelings or thoughts that I have towards it that I think could be super beneficial in everybody's work. Is like I said, everybody uses it differently. Some people just use it as a more sophisticated Google, but there's some really cool stuff that you can do with it. So recently, I did a masterclass for AI in the workplace, and if you guys haven't taken a look at it, I strongly suggest get a membership at Masterclass. It's awesome. It's super cool course. So in that course, you create an AI task augmentation analyst, and so this is just a GPT in ChatGPT. So you can see I got the plus version of it. So I think it's like $20 a month. Totally worth it. I still think ChatGPT is probably the best out of all of the ones if you're going to pay for any of them. But yeah. So GPTs are just a pre-defined prompt. So like if you go to ChatGPT and you say new chat and then you start typing, imagine that you wanted to always say the same thing. Like give me 5 good things, give me 5 bad things about the X. And you don't want to always have to say, give me 5 good things, 5 bad things about X. So you could paste in a preface and then your prompt, and that's pretty much just doing a GPT. There's some slight differences, but anyway, the one that you create in the masterclass is the AI task augmentation analyst, and it basically what it allows you to do is throw in any job description. So I'm just going to take this job description from Studio. It's for an associate technical artist in rigging, and I'm going to paste it right here. And then I'm gonna hit go, and just from pasting in the job description, it's going to take the documents that I pasted in the GPT and look at the preface, and it's going to start analyzing the job description and tell me different ways that AI can help me and different ways that AI might replace certain parts of my aspect of this job. So if I'm applying for this job, if I'm in this job, this is great stuff to know. So I can look at how I can leverage AI in my role, because AI is not going to replace you. It's somebody using AI. It could possibly replace you, but it really is going to be it's not necessarily that helps you do it faster. It just helps you do more in the same amount of time, and then you have to be creative on how you use that time. So right here you can see role identification so it's figuring out what it is basically to know how to run numbers against it and what's involved. So it's saying, this is the core task decomposition of the job. What is involved in the job? Rigging, skinning, tooling, programming, creator, prototyping, all this stuff, and it balances it based on a week. So you can see the percentages, which is great. And then it says basically where AI is most likely to replace and where there is human, where there needs to be a human, and there's complex human work. So like that's like a high strategic moat. So basically, initial skin weight generation, we could replace that with ML. Rig validation, error checks, replace that with ML, and documentation, doing wikis and stuff. You can replace that. So, and then there's return on interest here, or sorry, return on investment, human in the loop, like things that you can replace it with AI, but just check in every now and then. So you can see here, I'm not going to go through all this. This is another good one right here. This dashboard is so you can see where you can gain the most time and time back in certain areas, and you can basically get this from any job description. I could type in biologist. I could type in gas station attendant. I could type in anything like that, and it would doctor, lawyer, it would analyze it in the same fashion. So you can see how the GPTs are super powerful and stuff. And so, I'm not going to go through all this, but, just lots of information. You can get the same type of information from lots of jobs. So even if you're on the hiring side, you can really leverage this and see, where do you need to invest in humans? Where can you update and make your current pipeline or workflow more reliable with AI? Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to say for that is that there's a couple of other really cool GPT ideas like this. So, for example, Elon Musk has this 5-step process, and it's basically question everything, delete what you don't need. I think it's optimize, then decrease cycle time, and then automate. And so you want to do it in that order. So basically, I made a GPT that runs against that those ideas plus some other information. And so right here, I can say eliminate business. Like, let's say we want to do, I have a lemonade stand business. Okay, there we go. Let's see what it does. So first thing is question everything, right? So make your requirements less dumb. So, do I even need to sell lemonade as the main product? That's a great question. Is there something else that I can do? Delete any processes that you can. Kill the long menu. Too many flavors. Simplify, optimize the process. Classic lemonade is the best seller. Maybe $1 more for premium lemonade. This is a very simple concept, but you can see that it's kind of just giving me exactly what I want in this format related to this main idea. So GPTs are great at batching information, and and so you can see how we can kind of jump around from this. And so one thing that's great about this is that you can apply this in your day-to-day life or day-to-day work. So let's say that I'm working and it takes me a week to write a tool or something like that. And an arbitrary time. So a week to write a tool. And so most of the time I'm spending let's say 3 days on the main aspect, or 2.5 days on the main aspect. And then, 1 day adding features and then the rest for polishing, right? And it's full code that entire week, 5 days, right? So now what I can do is I can have different sections of my process, and I can add more to that process. So wouldn't it be great if we weren't just producing code, but we were thinking more about the code that we were producing? And then we were able to talk efficiently with our team and bounce ideas back and forth, maybe over that first day. And so this is just, I conversed with ChatGPT, and I said, hey, I want to make 6 different GPTs in this format where I can, make these preludes, these intro paragraphs for all of these ideas, and I can throw the same concept, the same even conversation with ChatGPT of creating this tool. I can throw the whole conversation in here and have it analyzed based on this GPT right here. And so I basically said hey, I think this is going to be a great pipeline if we do XYZ, basically 6 of those. And so I said each one of the, what should be the 6 things. And so basically the first one is tech brief brainstormer, so you can create a document that you can talk with your team. The next is a code companion. So as you're making the tool, you're using this AI GPT to explicitly make the tool. Maybe you have certain studio guidelines. Maybe you want to do PEP 8. Maybe you want to do spaces instead of tabs. You can put all of that in here and then just have your team always use this GPT, and then it will produce basically the same type of format, and you never get different types of format, even though you have different people talking to the same GPT. You want to have a code review GPT, and you want to have that. I think that's going to be important to have separate than your code companion, because your code companion is meant to generate just a working user interface prototype, right? And then the code review is what kind of shuffles it around and does it properly. rewrites it properly. Then you don't want to write your own documentation, so you want a documentation writer. Then you want to have, maybe we're building a specific tool for different applications, right? And so you want to build in different formats. Then you want to run against your, like how you're going to inject it, what it's going to interact with. And then lastly, you want to do a presentation and debrief so that you can share stuff with your team again, say like, this went well, this was challenging. That we have this now, and then also this is great for even external presentations too, like GDC. So it's totally possible to do all 6 of these things now within a week. If you were spending the full week on coding, now you can spend way less time on coding. You can still spend a week, but you could do all of this in that time period. And so, it doesn't make giving the tool faster, but you're going to be able to run more ideas and more things against it. So let's take a look at a practical example on how I've been using ChatGPT just in the last couple of weeks. I think that productivity is just going to skyrocket when people learn how to leverage it. So just as a quick story, about 3 weeks ago, I just in the matter of a day learned how to write a C++ plugin of a Maya Python tool. And I've never really learned C++ in the past, and just using AI, it helped me understand, it helped me write, debug, compile, and get everything working. From then, I recompiled some firmware for a drone flight controller, editing some source code settings, recompiling the hex file. And then on top of that, I thought, hey, how can I use this in a professional setting where use these plugins, these aspects in maybe a professional, like a workplace setting. And what I mean by that is that depending on where you work, you might have certain restrictions on how you can use or leverage AI or different integrations, anything to your studio. And something to be aware of or a little cautious about is that, if you use PyCharm has a ton of plugins. And some of the plugins are, the AI assistant, or there's a ChatGPT plugin for PyCharm. The problem with those plugins is they don't really let you provide a OpenAI API key. And an API key is basically your unique, encrypted identifier that says, hey, I'm Noah, I'm sending a request to OpenAI, I want to get something back, bill me. And a lot of the plugins don't require any billing because they're basically, farming all of your data. Everything that you send in request, they have it on their server. They're routing it to their third-party server and then routing it to OpenAI and then back to them and then back to you. So, if you work at a studio where the data needs to be kept under wraps, you've got, if you have serious IP, if you've just got sensitive information that you don't want to get out, you can't really leverage these plugins. And there might be some other options. There's things like other plugins like Cursor that might be able to get around this, but I just wanted to share an experience in trying to get around this personally, and what I found out in the span of maybe throwing 2 or 3 days at it. So I'm not familiar with IntelliJ. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but I'm not familiar with Gradle plugins or KT files or anything like that. But that's how you make plugins in PyCharm, at least to my knowledge, based on what I've learned through ChatGPT. So what I did was I said, hey, I want to make a PyCharm plugin that allows me to select text or select stuff in a file, right click, and then go down here, say ChatGPT, edit files. And then when I click that, I can select a GPT profile, and you'll notice these profiles look very similar to those 6 or 7 things that I had in the document, those GPTs. And basically, if I say Code Companion Python tools, then I can say add a for loop to 50, counting by 2s, and saying hi. All right, so great. And so when I hit OK, you can see that we get that prompt right there. It says the preface. I'm going to go back to that real quick. It says the preface. It says the rules of that, that were in that PDF. It gives that original file, which again, would be all of your sensitive data going through the third-party plugin, and it says a task, and it describes how to do it and what we should get back. And so user request, add a for loop 50, counting by 2s. So basically, this is all that I had to write in, but it knew to write all of this based on the GPT, based on the plugin that I wrote. And so from that, you get a diff where you have your original stuff right there. Remember, we had just hello world, we had hi, and basically you can see hi is right there. So we basically get a script. This hello world is the file. We've got our hi there that it deletes it, and then you can see it added all of this stuff just from that ChatGPT API call. And from what I can tell, like I put in like $5 into my API key. I've done probably, 50 requests or so, and I think maybe it just went down to $4.99. So not a lot of, it basically went really fast. It's not really fast. It's just not a lot of, not that expensive. So it's something cool to play around with. I got it to a point where, I was able to get this far and get a diff, but I started to think about how I use ChatGPT, and while, this is beneficial, and while it's a little bit problematic to, upload some files, give it a preface, give it a request, ask it, in that preface, you're asking for a zip of files with the same files named, and, you gotta make sure you upload all the files. It's a little bit problematic to do that through a web browser interface, and then have to reintegrate it back to the system. But it's that's why it's awesome to have something like this, like a code companion. However, if you're just getting a diff, and I know a lot of the plugins are a little bit better than just getting a diff, but let's say if we were going to use something like this, let me present a few challenges. So there's not really an ongoing conversation that this has knowledge of. It's just one request going back and forth. It is also not allowing us to upload any files, either code files, multiple files. We'd have to integrate that for multiple files and what it was able to see on our file systems, which is other privileges and permissions. We're not able to upload screenshots. So like one of the most important things that I found that we can do for ChatGPT is not only say, hey, I see this on the screen, what do I do? Or this doesn't exist, where do I click? I just sometimes upload a picture of my Maya viewport or my Python file or the settings. I just take a screenshot, and yes, it's a little of an extra step to take a screenshot, throw it in. Like, it'd be great if it could just see it somehow. And I think that's really where AI is going, that there's going to be something like another mouse or another keyboard person that you can just let interact as a human with your computer. But for right now, it's kind of nice that this is only in the browser, and we have to upload stuff and we have to get stuff and manually integrated. And that's for security reasons, permission reasons. We know what we're giving it. We know what we're getting back. And then also, again, the ongoing conversation, the fact that there's history, the fact you can upload documents, pictures, you can get different documents back. It's just great interacting it with the browser. And the other big thing about this is that you can take any one of our conversation histories and then paste it in one of those other GPTs and get that relative data from it. So Very cool stuff. I'm certainly going to be using this, pretty much every day, every time I develop a new tool. I think, it'd be great if everybody had a kind of like a standardized workflow going through things, as a team, and everybody's using these GPTs, and then you could kind of add to it when you design these new standards at studios, at workplaces, and that way, no matter who interacted with the GPTs, you could always get the same type of output back. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's one of the biggest challenges is that it's not necessarily quality control, but it's just that the output looks very different depending on which artist you have on it. And it's not necessarily like coding output, but it could be artistic output. It could be organization. It could be naming. It could be, tons of stuff. And so if we use these kind of human assisted tools, these parts where like human beings can interject in, they have the entry points, they have the checkpoints. You're not asking AI to do everything, but you're kind of providing the information and then requiring a known task out of it to always yield the same output. One last example is that I want to write better Sora prompts, and I thought it would be really cool to make like a Sora movie or Sora, like things with lots of Sora, like 6 or 7 Sora videos. And so I basically just turned on the dictate on ChatGPT, and then I just told the story, which was like a full page long, and I said, break this into 6 Sora prompts that I can give it. And eventually we're probably just going to be able to say, turn this whole paragraph into a Sora movie or something like that. 30 seconds long, blah, blah, blah. But, right now, Sora accepts prompts, and I don't know the best way to talk to Sora, but ChatGPT does. And, ChatGPT knows a lot of things. So, yes, you could accomplish something completely on your own, but because we can do it so much faster with AI with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can provide multiple ideas, options, and really good options, all within the same time span that we would only get our individual singular answer, it really benefits us just to ask it, like, just kind of run our ideas against it and see what we get out of it. Like, is there a better idea? Is there a better way of doing this? Is there a different way of doing this? So yeah, I'd strongly suggest you guys to start using it more and more. It's really cool what you can create with it in a short amount of time.